Mark your calendars, Nashville, because the Water Lantern Festival is returning to town on June 27th at 5 p.m. at the Parthenon at Centennial Park. This is one of those really beautiful, family-friendly summer events where you show up, decorate a lantern with a personal message of hope, remembrance, or intention, and then you release it onto the water at sunset and everything lights up together. As part of the 2026 Radiant Tour, this year's event celebrates connection, reflection, and the idea that we shine together. Guests can also enjoy live music, food trucks, and activities for all ages, making it a meaningful and memorable way to spend an afternoon and evening with friends and loved ones. Tickets are available now at waterlanternfestival.com/events/Nashville. And hey, stick around after the episode for a conversation sponsored by the Water Lantern Festival, featuring CityCast content director Andrea Silenzi, talking with Tess Rouser, the festival's marketing manager. Today on CityCast Nashville, the Grasslands at Cornelia Fort Air Park, one of Nashville's most beloved spots inside Shelby Park and Bottoms, are getting a major makeover. To help us understand what's happening and how you yourself can support local conservation efforts, we're joined by Grant England, Director of Partnerships and Community Engagement at Friends of Shelby. It's Thursday, June 18th. I'm Marie Cecile Anderson, and this is what Nashville's talking about. I want to talk about a very special place in my heart. It's my favorite place in Nashville, and it just so happens to be an abandoned airstrip called Cornelia Fort Air Park in Shelby Bottoms. But Grant, earlier this year, I went out there to walk my sweet dog, Miss Lottie, and it was closed. What's going on?
Yes. We have a very exciting project, environmental restoration project happening at this beloved part of the park. And if I can just give folks a little bit of context, I'm part of the staff at Friends of Shelby, the nonprofit that helps take care of the park. So I do a lot of different things all across the park. And this is one that's near and dear to my heart because I'm a big environmentalist and super exciting. The short version is we are working with several partners to create a beautiful 100-acre meadow full of native wildflowers and grasses at the air park. So if you've been on that 1-mile loop from the nature center where we have the super bloom around Labor Day every year, that where it's just full wall-to-wall wildflowers, it's going to be similar to that out at the air park.
Wow. And this area, did it used to be somebody's hayfield? Is that right?
Yeah. So if I can get into the history just a little bit, the air park was a private airport from 1945 to 2010. It closed after the big flood that we had and opened to the public in 2013. It's named for an amazing woman named Cornelia Fort who grew up on that land. And she was a pioneering female aviator. She was the first female American pilot to die in active duty. She was in the attack on Pearl Harbor and survived that. Anyway, so there's a cool history there. But then, after the air park closed and was no longer an operating airport, became part of the park. It is former farmland, so it's full of non-native and invasive plants and doesn't really support much wildlife. I mean, we're lucky to get to see wildlife while we're out there, but it's nowhere near its potential. So that's one of the things I'm the most excited about with this project is it's really going to support all of the wildlife in Shelby Bottoms, but especially threatened species like monarch butterfly, eastern meadowlark, all of the birds and creatures that we love to see out there.
So what does this reconstruction look like? Shall I refer to it as like grassland reconstruction?
That's right, because we're not restoring an existing grassland. That was gone long ago. And so we're reconstructing what would be appropriate to the natural environment there. So this project's a partnership between Metro Nashville Parks, the Southeastern Grasslands Institute, who are experts in this field, and then Friends of Shelby. We're all working together to make it happen. And the background is invasive plants are plants that evolved somewhere else. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just not where they belong, and they disrupt the native habitats. So native plants, if you remember the food web from school, they're the foundation of everything. Native plants support native insects, and then those native insects are what feed birds, reptiles, and mammals, and then on and up the whole food chain through foxes, coyotes, owls, all of the really cool creatures we love to see. To anthropomorphize, plants don't want to be eaten, or maybe more scientifically, plants that are less appetizing to insects get selected for through natural selection, right? So the less tasty plants are going to get selected for because they're going to get eaten less. So plants have evolved natural defenses. It's mostly chemicals that are inside the plants. Native insects have evolved alongside those plants. And the way that that's worked is that most insects can feed on one or maybe a handful of plants. The most famous example of this are monarch butterflies and milkweed. A lot of people have heard that if you want to help protect monarchs, you got to plant milkweed. That's the only plant they'll lay their eggs on because it's the only plant that their caterpillars eat. No milkweed, no monarchs. And it's the same way for almost all of our native insects. So when you have a big field of non-native grass, like at the air park, I know it can look lush and green to us, but from a ecosystem perspective, it's a desert.
I'm guessing it takes more than just tossing out a bunch of seeds for this reconstruction, huh?
Yes. Yeah. The project started, well, really, the project started with me going on a run around my neighborhood. I'm a big conservation and especially native plant nerd. So I had read up on Southeastern Grasslands Institute. I thought, oh, this is such a cool organization. They're doing really great work. I'm on a run around my neighborhood and I see their truck, like their wrapped truck, parked in one of my neighbors' driveways, and they're all standing outside chatting. So I just ran up, sweat rolling off my nose. And I said, guys, I know you don't know me, but I know where you work, and I work in Shelby, and I have this, what if we did this thing? Wouldn't this be a cool project? Do you guys think? And anyway, it's evolved from there. They're working here in Shelby, but also at 5 or 6 other sites around Middle Tennessee doing the same kind of work.
What made Cornelia Fort the right Nashville location?
I think a number of factors. One, it's a large contiguous piece of property so that, they can create a large habitat there. And then it's a really beloved and highly visited park. So I think one of the things I'm the most excited about is that I'm hoping that as people watch this work and see the finished product, that they will learn more about the importance of native plants, of removing invasive plants from their own property, because that's often how we didn't plant any invasive plants in Shelby Bottoms, but they spread from other properties. So grasslands are one of the most endangered habitats in the southeastern U.S. 90% of native grasslands are gone because as Europeans settled, they were, flat, grassy areas were the easiest place to build your farm. So we've got about 10% of what was originally here, but that 10% are America's most biodiverse grasslands. They're just full of life and super diverse. And so it's really exciting to get to bring some of that back and restore some of that to Shelby Bottoms.
Sounds like there's some restoration going on in your background there.
Yeah, yeah,
Is that a leaf blower?
Somebody's either leaf blowing or trimming. So yeah.
That feels right. It's Nashville, baby. Well, like you said, I'm one of the many that just love going to the air park. I go almost every day, to be honest. And it was last year when I saw the prescribed burn.
Yes.
I at first didn't know what was happening, and then I was clued in. But so was that part of the restoration process? Should we expect more of those?
Yes, it was part of the process. That was March 2025. Really started this work with doing that prescribed burn. Prescribed fire is a really powerful tool for environmental restoration, especially grasslands. Our grasslands evolved with fire, and these native plants have really deep root systems that, everything above ground, just like you see in the winter when everything dies back, everything above ground can burn off and the roots are still strong, healthy, thriving. And as soon as spring comes, they're going to shoot a stem and leaves back up and be vibrant again. That's one of the other benefits of native plants is they tend to have much deeper root systems than our non-native plants. They can be 2, 3, 4 times deeper, which really helps both with cleaning and filtering water as it's on the way through Shelby Bottoms into the Cumberland River. The Omohundro water treatment plant is right there across the river from Shelby. So Shelby acts like a filter to clean that water on the way, but then also as a sponge to mitigate flooding. And those roots help soak water up during flood times too. So yeah, started with that prescribed burn. We've also done some work, Friends of Shelby, alongside Southeastern Grasslands. We've worked with a lot of volunteers to go in and manually remove some of the woody invasive plants like bush honeysuckle and privet. And then the last step, and the reason for the closure that you and your pup experienced, is that SGI, Southeastern Grasslands, SGI, is doing some herbicide applications periodically throughout this year. So there are going to be several more closures, the next one starting sometime around June 22nd. It's a window that they work in, and it's a little weather dependent. Like they can't apply it during the rain because it'll immediately wash off. They don't want to apply it during a highly windy time when there might be a little bit of spread from the wind. So they really watch the weather and the conditions so that they only have to apply what they need.
Where do I look before I go to the air park to know when it's closed or not?
There will be postings on the Metro Parks website, and Friends of Shelby will post it on our social media, on Instagram, on Facebook. We'll have information up on our website too, friendsofshelby.org. The rest of the trailheads in the park will be open, so you could head up to Forest Green or down to the Nature Center or, anywhere else in the park.
That's exactly what I did. I went up to Forest Green and I love that area. So it was fun to kind of explore other parts of the park because of this closure. So
nice.
Folks, stay tuned for that and look for it, and then start exploring other places because there's lots out there. Step into a summer filled with music and history at Andrew Jackson's Hermitage. You do not want to miss Country Night on June 26th, the final concert in the inaugural Roots and Rhythms Americana Concert Series presented by Wilson Bank and Trust. Enjoy an unforgettable evening of live music, local food and drinks, and community on the historic grounds of the Hermitage. Bring a blanket or lawn chair and settle in for performances by Elizabeth Cook and Tim Easton. Hosted by Jesse Scott of WMOT Roots Radio 89.5 FM. The evening will also feature a special presentation honoring legendary songwriter and 2026 Roots and Rhythms Legacy Award recipient Steve Earle, with the award accepted on his behalf by his sister Stacey Earle. Doors open at 5 p.m. with music beginning at 7. Guests of all ages are welcome, and children 13 and under get in for free. General admission tickets are $20 or $10 for Hermitage members. VIP tickets are also available for $50 and include access to a private lounge, dedicated bar, and priority seating. You do not want to miss the final night of Roots and Rhythms Americana Concert Series. Get your tickets today at thehermitage.com. What other conservation projects are taking place in Shelby this year?
Friends of Shelby, we do a lot of work around the park to keep the natural areas natural, to help restore the environment. One of my personal favorites is our Restore the Forest program. That deals with invasive plants, but instead of in a grassland habitat, in our forest habitat. There are a lot of beautiful forests in Shelby Bottoms, and those get threatened less by invasive grasses and more by bushes, shrubs, and trees. So this project started in 2021. It's actually how I first got involved with Friends of Shelby as a volunteer before a staff member. We've worked with volunteers, hundreds and hundreds of volunteers since 21, and have cleared 16 acres of forest of invasive plants. And it's the same thing that we talked about before, where, these plants have evolved elsewhere, so they don't have the natural predators that native plants do here. They don't have insect larvae, caterpillars eating them. And you'll watch the deer. The deer will eat every other kind of plant before they'll pick an invasive plant because they don't taste as good. So they have an unfair advantage. They get out of control, and they can kind of create a monoculture where there's only one type of plant in that area, which again reduces food for all the wildlife there, disrupts the food chain. I also think just purely a human enjoyment and recreation side, we have really opened the forest up a lot. There's a lot more visibility. I would hear feedback before that, it was kind of dark and spooky in there, and I can't really
Ooh.
see where I'm going or what's around the bend. And now you can really see through the forest, and we've uncovered these giant 200-300-year-old beech trees and oak trees that are just 100 feet off the trail, but you couldn't see before because it was so thick with brush.
I mean, I love a spooky forest, but not when I'm solo.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
Thank you.
And then the other benefit of these, of removing invasive plants and restoring native plants, is it makes a habitat more resilient. You know, climate change is challenging all of our ecosystems, and diverse ecosystems with a wide variety of plants are more resilient than monocultures, because if you've got an area that is dominated by one type of plant, any kind of pest or disease or fungus or change in the habitat that disrupts that one plant can wipe out, you know, a whole area. Whereas if you have a diverse variety of species, you know, if some are struggling with conditions, others will thrive, and they can balance that. They can be a lot more resilient.
This isn't a conservation thing, but I know a lot of folks are asking about the zigzag bridge on the Greenway. Can you share the status of that repair?
Yes. Yeah. So the zigzag bridge is closed. It was temporarily closed earlier this year, and then it reopened. So there's naturally a lot of questions about it, but it is closed right now until repairs are made. Metro Parks is doing that project. You know, they're in charge of maintaining all the bridges and trails and greenways and areas like that. And they had an engineer come out to inspect it, and it's not structurally stable right now. So it is a bummer to not be able to make that loop. I know one thing that has slowed the project a little bit is that permitting in wetlands is a little more involved and lengthy. But folks can rest assured that the project is approved and in the queue and is going to get repaired and reopened.
Were the beavers eating it?
Oh, man, I know. They made that wetland. I don't think they were chewing on the bridge, but they did make that wetland. You know, years and years ago in the park, that was more of just a narrow stream, and all of those trees were alive. And they put a dam at the other end and, you know, backed it up into more of a wetland kind of pondish area. And yeah, the beavers are awesome.
I love that area because you just feel like you're in New Orleans or Charleston all of a sudden and not in Nashville.
It's very cool. It's very cool.
And there's a big event coming up at the end of the summer near that bridge, the Tick Seed Super Bloom. What makes that patch of flowers so important?
I look forward to that every year. So mark on your calendars. It always blooms. I can't give you an exact date, but it's always around Labor Day, end of August, beginning of September, and we will post about it ad nauseum as it's happening. So if you use social media, you know, check out our Instagram at Friends of Shelby. I'll be out there walking through the flowers, showing some videos of it. And it's just beautiful. It's just wall to wall flowers as far as the eye can see. And it really supports all of those bees, butterflies, moths, wasps, all the pollinators, hummingbirds, and especially some of my favorites, hummingbirds and monarch butterflies. Those kind of fall blooms let them really build up a big store of energy as they migrate. Because a lot of our hummingbirds don't spend the winter here. They migrate, some of them across the Gulf of Mexico into Central and South America. So they got to build up a real good reserve of food to make that journey.
Well, that Super Bloom also helps employ our local wedding photographers, engagement photographers, because every time I'm out there, there's a couple getting their picture taken. It's quite beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. Come out and take a family photo. It's awesome.
Take a family photo, go out there. Yep. What can folks at home do to help with conservation?
I love talking about this, so hold me back, Marie. Before
I want to let you go.
Yeah, before I start
all.
sharing some specific tips, I always like to preface with a couple of things. One, I think a lot of factors have combined to make us feel like we're separate from nature, but we're not. We are nature. We're animals. We're part of nature. And people who care about the environment, who are conservationists, can have a lot of feelings of guilt and stress around this. And I personally have had that. I love nature. I love the outdoors, and it can be easy to put the world on your shoulders and try to do everything. So don't let perfect be the enemy of good. I'm going to share a bunch of suggestions, but think of this as a menu that you can choose from and not a to-do list that you have to complete, right? So with that, I mean, first, tried and true, reduce, reuse, recycle. If you can buy things used or secondhand, if you can thrift shop, if you want to do the Marie Kondo and analyze before you buy something new, is this going to bring me joy? Do I really need it? You know, the old timers would say, use it up, wear it out, make it do or do without. So recycling is great, but if you can reduce on the front end or reuse something, those are equally important, which takes me to food. You know, the food we eat has a big environmental impact. The USDA's estimate is that 30 to 40% of food sold in the United States ends up in the landfill. Being conscious of that, you know, if you can take your personal number from, 30 down to 20 or down to 10, reducing your food waste is great. And then you can turn the rest into brand new healthy soil if you compost. Another suggestion that a lot of folks can do at home, again, if you have a yard, check your yard for invasive plants. And the three biggest that I would point folks towards are three public enemies. Number one in Shelby Bottoms: bush honeysuckle, privet, and Bradford pear. And if you've got one of those on your property or multiple of those, most of us do, especially check the back of your yard, check your fence line, places that don't get quite as much attention. And, over the years, somebody who lived there before you didn't trim along the back fence and these shrubs sprouted up. Birds eat their berries and the birds don't stay put, and they spread those berries and those seeds. That's a big way that those invasive plants spread. And then another yard-based suggestion, but also for container gardens, is to choose native plants in your garden, in your containers. If you're going to do some beautification, some gardening, native wildflowers and grasses can be a really great choice. And if you can convert a small patch of your lawn, 5% of it, 10% of it, into a native pollinator garden, that's a really great thing to do. And they're beautiful. We had the drought early this spring. I watered my native pollinator garden 0 times.
Whoa.
Because they're adapted. This is their home. This is what they're adapted to. They were ready for it, and they're thriving.
You know what vibe you're totally giving me right now is Zach Galifianakis has a new show on Netflix called This Is a Gardening Show, and it's all these amazing tips like you're giving us. And he has kind of a similar voice and just chill vibe like you. So I am here for it, Grant.
That's a huge compliment.
Can we please get you a Netflix show? That's what I'm going to be advocating for, because just a wealth of knowledge. And
oh my gosh, that's awesome. I want to meet Zach, let's do that.
Let's get him down, and
amazing.
I'll reach out. I'll have our people reach out to his people.
Okay, perfect.
We'll circle back. Well, beyond this Grasslands project, the air park plays a central role for so many Nashvillians. For someone who hasn't been there, can you describe what an average weekend out there is like?
Oh, yeah, it's awesome. Some of the old hangars are still there as, park facilities. There's a playground right next to the parking lot. And then the runway is a big paved oval that's about 1.25 miles around. And, it was for planes taking off and landing, so it's perfectly flat. It is a super popular spot to come out and ride your bike, skate, rollerblade, roller skates. If you can think of it on wheels, people are out there rolling around. It's consistently pretty windy. So my kids and I love flying kites out there. That's a lot of fun. And one of my favorite things about it is that you've got these really fun, recreation things to do, riding your bike, flying a kite, playing on the playground. And it's right next to this beautiful wetland where you're going to see all kinds of amazing birds. The beavers do live there, although they're really elusive. But you're going to see red-winged blackbirds and egrets and great blue herons. I've spotted a bald eagle now and then. So it's beautiful nature and tons of fun.
If folks want to come out and see the Cornelia Fort Air Park for themselves, tell us what's happening this Saturday night.
This Saturday is a really awesome time at the air park. It's the Cornelia Air Park Concerts. It's a concert series that Friends of Shelby, the nonprofit where I work, puts on. It's a fundraiser for us to help us protect the environment in the park, do conservation projects like we've been talking about, as well as putting on free activities and events for the community. It's a concert series, and there's one a month. So we got one coming up this Saturday. There's going to be another one in July, another one in August. And what we do is we open up one of the old airplane hangars, So we set up the stage in there. The band plays out from the hangar out to the runway. So bring a blanket or a camp chair. You can purchase your tickets online ahead of time. Tickets come with a drink ticket for anybody that's 21 and up, because we have craft beer and wine, canned cocktails. We pull a bunch of food trucks in. So come and have dinner, come and have a drink. There's 3 great local bands that play every night. The doors open at 5:30 and the music goes till 9. And guaranteed, if you live over here on the east side, you're going to run into some friends and neighbors. Just come out and enjoy some great food, some great drinks, and some great music against the background of the air park. The sun's going to go down. The fireflies are going to start coming out. The frogs are croaking and the crickets are chirping. It's a unique concert venue. It's really fun.
Grant, you're really selling it to us. We hope to be there on Saturday then. And for all these events, volunteer listeners, we're going to put all this information into today's show notes. I'm going to call Netflix, get you a show, because I just am here for it and I love your voice.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you. Too
Grant,
kind.
you're amazing. Thank you. Hey, don't go anywhere. In just a second, we have a segment sponsored by the Water Lantern Festival featuring CityCast content director Andrea Salensi, talking with Tess Rouser, the festival's marketing manager.
Hey, CityCast content director Andrea Salensi here. There are some things we do outside that I look forward to all year long. Picking apples in the fall, winter light shows, food festivals on a really hot summer night. And I'm here to suggest a new tradition you're going to have to experience for yourself. Releasing a glowing lantern into the water at sunset, right in the middle of your beautiful city, surrounded by hundreds of your neighbors doing the exact same thing. That's what I'm talking about today with Tess Rouser, the marketing manager for the Water Lantern Festival. Hey, Tess.
Hi, Andrea. How are you?
Oh, I'm so excited for folks to picture what this festival really looks like. So the Water Lantern Festival happens in cities all over the country. If you're hearing this, it's coming to your city soon. So for someone who's never been, what is it actually like to be there?
The Water Lantern Festival isn't your typical festival. Yes, when you arrive, there are food trucks and local vendors. There's family activities, games going on, a scavenger hunt. It's very lively, fun, upbeat music going on. But the event definitely turns inward and more reflective as the night goes on. It really pivots and the music changes and the whole vibe changes. So it's almost the best of both worlds. Guests are encouraged to write on their lanterns, and everyone gathers by the water at sunset to release their lanterns. That's definitely the peak of the event. Watching hundreds or even sometimes thousands of lanterns on the water is incredibly peaceful and emotional. People often tell us that it's a moment that stays with them long after the night ends.
So everyone who attends gets to personalize their own lantern before releasing it in the water. What have you seen people write or draw on their lanterns?
Yes, so each ticket comes with a lantern that comes with everything you'll need for the evening. Your markers, the biodegradable paper that you can write on or design. And that's one of the most important parts of the event. People write, all kinds of things. Messages of love or hope or remembrance or gratitude, or sometimes people are setting intentions or goals for what they want to do that year. More of a personal story for me. I lost my nephew 3 years ago, and there was a lantern festival near me on his angelversary 2 years after. And it was the most incredible and meaningful experience that I was able to have with my family, where we came and remembered him and honored him and shared stories about him and released it onto the water in a glowing just moment of remembrance. But honestly, we see so many things. We see lots of proposals. There's nothing like seeing someone down on one knee proposing in front of just thousands of lanterns on the water. So it's fun because every lantern tells a personal story, but when they're released together, it becomes a meaningful and powerful shared moment.
So it's shared grief or shared celebration. It's kind of all of it.
It is. It's all of it. You'll see names, you'll see dates, hearts, drawings, but even sometimes just a single word that holds a lot of meaning.
So when you look out at the crowd at one of these festivals, what do you see? Is this families, couples? Who's the attendee?
It's really a diverse crowd, which is something we absolutely love. You'll see the families with kids, couples, friends groups, lots of girls' nights with their charcuterie boards and blankets and pillows that they brought to set up camp for the night. There isn't one type of attendee, and that's something we absolutely love. So definitely brings together people from all walks of life.
Can you give me the scale of Water Lantern Festival? Like, how long has this been going on? How many cities have you been to? How many people have released a lantern into the water?
Yes, we actually just surpassed our 2 million lanterns being released into the water. So the largest lantern festival of its kind. We've been in business for 9 years. So it started as just a small community gathering, has expanded and grown to over 175 different cities, nationwide and now worldwide, expanding into Australia, Canada, the UK, Mexico here in a few weeks. So it's really fun to be able to bring this experience of love and hope and connection to the world.
Is there anything else someone should know before they get their ticket? Any tips for attending?
I'd encourage people to come with an open heart and to give themselves time to enjoy the experience from start to finish. It's not meant to be a fast-paced event. It's meant to slow you down and create space for that reflection and connection. So it's always a good idea to come early so you can still hit the food trucks, the music, the vendors, the booths, the scavenger hunt, but then still have time to sit and personalize your lantern and just take everything in and turn more inward.
Tess, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Andrea.
If you want to find a Water Lantern Festival near you and grab tickets, just head to waterlanternfestival.com. You can search for your city there, and it's a good idea to get your tickets in advance since many events do sell out. And for the latest updates, you can follow them on social media at Water Lantern Festival. Thanks for listening.
That's all for today here on CityCast Nashville. And don't forget, you can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Nashville neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. I'm your creative producer, Marie Cecile Anderson. Our executive producer is Whitney Pasterek. Our producer this week is Matthew Rogers. Our CityCast Nashville newsletter editor is Margaret Kingsbury. And our theme music is by Prof Jenkins with additional music by Andy Ellison, James, and Ryan Enlow from Triple Scoop Music via Getty Images. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell your friends? Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our CityCast Nashville newsletter. We'll be taking tomorrow off to observe Juneteenth, but we will be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Toodles!